Welcome back to the channel. My name is Seth, and today I want to recommend to you a really good anime, a really good watch, right? And the reason I want to recommend this particular anime to you, because like you may have noticed on my channel, there's a playlist called Transformative Stories. This particular story is very much so transformational, and it's not just from my point of view. The writers, the whole idea or the ideation behind this actual product is about transforming the life of the viewer, right? And that anime is the one I'll get into in a second.
Fullmetal Alchemist.
So if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know I've definitely got some sort of an affinity, you could say, for anime. Meaning I've been watching anime for a long time. I've made mini documentaries about anime, and I've talked about it in various different fashions over the years. I wouldn't say that I'm like one of the people that know everything about everything, right? Every manga, who wrote what, who drew what. I'm more of a casual anime fan, but I have been watching anime my whole life, right? Which you probably see in a documentary I've released by now. Maybe I haven't, maybe I have, who knows, right? YouTube's a strange place. The first photograph didn't appear in human history until 1822. So what do you think humanity was doing before 1822? They were drawing, they were painting, right? Portraits, landscapes, plans, schematics, all of these things were drawn, right? Even for some of you out there, pornography could be found on cave walls, right? We've always drawn. So in my humble opinion, that's one of the reasons why human minds connect so deeply with the idea of drawing. And it doesn't even have to be a good drawing or a colored drawing, right? Everybody can draw, but not everybody can do art. So one of the reasons I feel like anime doesn't get the respect it deserves is that people, normal people, normies, don't actually understand or appreciate what it takes to create animation, let alone what it takes to produce a photograph or a movie, or how their Instagram works. They have no idea how any of these processes work. They just see it, get instructions, and copy. If you was to just step back for a second and understand, even from the olden days where animation was done frame by frame. What's a frame? Frame is a slice of a picture that you're seeing right now. So you're watching a video that is shot in 60 frames per second, right? So for every second that goes by, there's 60 little snapshots happening so fast that your mind doesn't even recognize it. And it's just one smooth video, right? Hardly any animations are 60 frames per second, because you know what that would mean, right? 60 drawings per second to make a character move, right? So we just step back a little bit and appreciate how the first machines that people created, because I haven't got the words for it or the names or the history off the top of my head, but there's like little spinning machines where people would take a picture, draw it 3 or 4 times, put it in this little machine, right? And it would spin, and you would see from the outside that it looks like an animation happening, right? From that to now is technology, it's progress, it's human intelligence and development that brings us to what we have today, what we call anime or animation. But recently I was captured by that autumn feeling of nostalgia. You know how the leaves are falling, makes you think of times past, and all of these warm feelings, you know, you get your oranges, your browns and your greens out, right? Well, like olive greens. And what does that really mean? Well, we all know what nostalgia is, kind of. Nostalgia is basically just yearning for the feeling of things past, things you've experienced, life that you've seen, stuff that you've watched, games that you've played. You want the feeling of seeing it the first time again, right? That's what nostalgia is. But there's another like philosophical part of nostalgia, which is basically like, to put it simply, is romanticize melancholy. What is melancholy? Is like the feeling of sadness. And you understand what romanticizing something is, right? Blowing it up to be something other than what it is and making it nicer to your mind or to your sensibility than it actually is or actually was, right? So that's what nostalgia is, basically. The longing for things past, right? But that being said, although there's an argument to be made that you should never really indulge in nostalgia whenever it comes, as someone that's a gamer and an anime watcher, a music creator and a creative, right? We indulge in nostalgia all the time. That's where we pull a lot of our inspiration and ideas from, is the past, and then we innovate and we build on these things, right? So we find ourselves as quote unquote creatives indulging in nostalgia quite often, right? But anyway, I felt nostalgic for a particular anime that I wanted to watch, right? And I was very apprehensive about watching it again, because the first time watching it twice, right? Because this anime is made twice, right? Like Hunter x Hunter, it's an old version and a newer version of this anime, and you probably figured out what I'm talking about by now. By the description or by the picture, I don't know. Like, I don't know why I'm talking in parable. Like, you won't just figure it out. Like, quick tangent, right? Like every stupid anime series, they spoil the show in the intro. They're going to show you the villain that you haven't met yet. They're going to show you the outcomes of fights and things that you haven't seen yet in the beginning of the intro, which is a whole nother rant I'll get into later. But anyway, I felt nostalgic for this anime, but I felt apprehensive about watching it again because since the first time I watched it, a lot of things happened in my life, right? Which kind of correspond to some of the themes in this anime, right? Which is kind of sad, right? Hence, like, romanticizing melancholy, right? So, if you haven't put together the pieces by now, or I didn't just bait it up by having the bloody thumbnail show you exactly what I'm talking about, the anime I'm talking about is Fullmetal Alchemist, right? But not the first version of it, the second one, right? I think it's called Brotherhood or something like that. Like I just told you, I'm a casual anime fan, right? So don't penalize me because I don't get all the names and stuff right. And I watched dubbed, yes, I watched dubbed, but unless it's like I'm trying to catch up on One Piece that's not been dubbed yet, so I'm just gonna watch it in Japanese, right? Stuff like that. I'm like that sometimes, right? Hey, throw your stones, but don't hide your hands, right? Make sure you say it in the comments if you're gonna say it, right? Alright, so anyway, the reason why I was apprehensive about watching Fullmetal Alchemist again is because the Fullmetal Alchemist centers around the idea of dealing with loss, right? By not trying to be nostalgic and basically live in the past and actually come into the future and be willing to let go, right? Because the whole moral at the end of the Fullmetal Alchemist show, spoiler if you haven't seen it, is Ed learning to let go and stop trying to control, right? And teaching all these other people in the show, the characters, stop trying to play God, right? Even though I don't particularly believe in the idea of God, the metaphor and the messaging makes a lot of sense, right? Stop trying to be a control freak and have everything go your way, because every time you try to do this, bad outcomes happen. You see it happen in various different characters and various cursed images on the screen right now, right? Poor Hughes as well. Hughes, man, oh, man. Watching it again as well, and you know what's gonna happen to Hughes, and you're like, oh man, this is so sad, right? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, right, so in the beginning of Fullmetal Alchemist, right, you see one guy, right, one ex-soldier or one ex-alchemist trying to stop everything on his own, right? And it's just, and then to them in the beginning, because you're watching it for the second time round, right? This is nice little things that they get revealed for, right? To them, it's just another criminal. Like, why are you trying to blow up the Fuhrer, right? What are you doing, right? But he's actually trying to save the world, right? In the same way, at the end, they're all going to try and save the world, right? Which also makes it sad, right? Because, like, oh, fuck, he's a good guy, and they think he's a bad guy, right? But anyway, Ed and Al lose their mother, right? Their mother dies, right? And because they study alchemists in the world of alchemy, hence the Fullmetal Alchemist, right? They go and seek the, like, forbidden or the taboo thing to do, which is to try and recreate human life, right? Or to bring back the dead to the living, right? So they do this, they find out how to do it, and they do it as kids, right? Because they're so advanced, they're like techie alchemists, right? They're ahead of their generation, right? They figure it out and they go and do it. They do the little transmutation circle and they try to bring the mother back, right? And what happens is the gate of truth opens up, sucks them into a portal. Al loses his whole body and Ed loses his arm. No, Ed loses his leg, and then to get his brother back, or at least get his soul back, he offers up his arm, I believe, right? So basically, they open up the portal of truth, which they shouldn't have done, right? Trying to save their mum, which was already dead, right? Now, after they open the portal of truth, bad things begin to happen to them, right? And they've realized they can never really bring a human back, and the thing that they thought they brought back, which if you watch the first version of the anime, right, it actually makes sense because they bring back a character that is somewhat like their mother, right? I don't know why they cut a lot of really good stuff from the first anime in the second anime. I don't know why they done it, but they probably wanted a better ending, right? Because the second one has a better ending. Anyway, after they open the portal of truth, of course, because it's a portal of truth, they find out things they should have never known, right? But unfortunately, Al doesn't actually remember anything that he saw until near the end, right? But Ed does, right? So his awakening to the truth has him depressed. Not only the fact that he couldn't bring back his mother, that he lost his brother's whole body and he lost some of his own body parts. So he sat there depressed. He's with the granny, right? And Mustang, right, which is in G, right, as well, comes to find them and he's like, basically, we want you to become alchemist for the state, right? State alchemist, right? Which is a whole different like thing. You go down if you follow the whole story, right? It's really good. So he's basically saying to him, you can sit there and mope, or you could get up and try and do something about it. You could go and find a way to save yourself and save your brother, bring your brother's body back, right? And of course, because it's the world of alchemy, they go on the hunt for the elusive Philosopher's Stone, right? Which truly is just a metaphor for transformation, right? Alchemy, alchemical symbolism is all just metaphorical drawing, right? It's meaning within meaning, right? So you have things like Phoenix representing rebirth, like just a bunch of cool shit. I've got a book somewhere that I can show you, but maybe I'll fit in at the end, right? But basically the whole idea of alchemy is just like, it's just part of the early stages of what we call science now. But truly, from some points of view, you would say all the different fields we have of science now, like chemistry, biology, whatever, right, all come from the original idea of thought, just thinking, right? So some people would say philosophy was the initial beginning point of science, and for every different thought down that way of thinking, learning how to think creates a new branch of science, right? Alchemy was that at a stage, right? But it wasn't like hard science, tangible science. It was more pseudoscience. Like I said, it was very metaphorical, very esoteric, right? So it wasn't hard facts. That's why the idea of a philosopher's stone, an actual stone with magical powers, is ridiculous. But the idea of the philosopher's stone itself is transformation, represents a journey being complete, like the Ouroboros, right? It's a cycle, right? You have to get to the head to get to the tail, so on and so forth, right? Anyway, they go on a search for the philosopher's stone, and they start to find out in the anime world, right, all of these fake philosopher's stones are being made by using the essence and energy of human beings, right? So Al and Ed, having some monicum of morals, if that makes sense, right, they refuse to use this technique of producing a philosopher's stone because they're looking around and they're seeing all the damage it's causing by other people trying to play God with the philosopher's stone, right, creating things called the homunculus, right, which is a man-made human, which initially is what they would have done if they had succeeded by bringing their mother back, right? Because you can't bring something that's dead back to living. Even though you have all the science, all the ingredients of a human being, you can't create a human being, right? Because you're not the life giver of that essence, right? Anyway, like I said, I don't particularly believe in all the god woo-woo shit, but it's cool in the anime sense, right? A lot of things to learn from it. So they go on a journey, they meet a bunch of different people, they see a bunch of different scenarios of how this could go bad, how this could go good. And they end up getting to a point where they realize everything leads back to the beginning, right? The Ouroboros. But the deep thing is, their dad, right, which is obviously like the seed of their existence, is technically a walking philosopher's stone himself, right? Because of the original, which is up in the air, who or what created the first homunculus, right? Because it's just there. It may have been Hohenheim's master that created it, but they never make it clear, right? The first homunculus that turns Van Hohenheim, right, if that's how you say it, their dad, into a philosopher's stone is just in a flask, right? Back in time, back in the time of Xerxes, right? So they use a couple of like historical references in there, but it's a bit dodge, right? It's a bit dodge, like, so yeah. So they never really explain where the first homunculus comes from, but anyway, the first homunculus tricks everybody into creating this philosopher's stone, getting himself a body, and turning Ed and Al's dad into philosopher's stone as well, right? The reason I say I was apprehensive about watching it again is because since the time when I watched it the first time, I lost my mum too, right? But I don't take it too deeply. Maybe some people say I'm heartless, some people say I'm emotionless, but me, I deal with it in a different way, right? Because it's not the first time I've lost a parent, right? All right, and if you're like, don't worry, bro, it's gonna happen to you too one day, so you can all you like. So anyway, I was apprehensive about watching it because I thought it might stir up some emotions in me that I've just like locked in the stoic cupboard. I'm like, don't fucking bother with that. Like, if you have no control over it, don't worry about it, right? So that is kind of how I approached it. So I was apprehensive about watching it because I thought actually it might make me upset about my own mum, right? But it didn't, right? It actually made me feel better about the same fact that I said in the beginning. You're not supposed to try and control the outcome of things that are out of your control, right? That's the whole point of it, like releasing and letting go of that, right? So anyway, I didn't want to actually go down into a deep analysis of this show, right? Because I might just do a little quick summary of what the show is actually about. But I just thought, if anyone out there is dealing with that kind of loss of a parent, of a friend, or mourning of a lifestyle, right, that you used to exist in and you no longer exist in, or whatever it is, right, watching a show like that will help you come to a better understanding, not of only your own situation, but other people, right? It will trigger some empathy, right? Some sympathy for others, and maybe a little bit of, I don't know, a way of having more analysis of the world, or of your own. Who cares anyway? I just want to make this video to recommend Fullmetal Alchemist. Alright? So I'll see you later.
Fullmetal Alchemist.